I'm gonna shift a little bit because you talked about the sort of experiment approach in your classrooms, and this is similar but maybe different. So I heard that you have a really unique approach to teaching live cases in your Scaling New Ventures class. And what I think struck me the most maybe about it was the explicitness with which you discuss with the client companies the need for vulnerability on their part. So can you share a bit about how, this live case sort of model works in that class and how you prime and prep and select those companies so that they're set up for a good experience with the students?
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm really excited about the live cases. I've been doing them now for 3 years, and they were driven by what I found to be, and I'm curious what your take on it is, but I think the cases that you can find in the marketplace are really excellent. They're top quality, but often when they go through the review process, it takes 2 to 3 years to actually get them in press. And in the startup world, 2 to 3 years could be pretty antiquated. And then the other thing is that I felt a little bit like a bystander teaching a case that I didn't write. And so I didn't feel as all in on the process. I didn't feel as passionate about it. And that drove me to think of a new way to teach cases. And so I started to talk about this with some local entrepreneurs in Winston-Salem, some members of my advisory council, and I came up with the idea of a live case. And what I do is I first seek out entrepreneurs that are leading startups that are doing about $1 to $2 million in sales. So they're early stage, they've gotten a little bit of traction, but they haven't yet scaled. And talk to people that I knew on a personal level. And I, threw out my idea about the live cases, and I said, would you be interested in participating? It's almost like an open lab on your startup. But if you're interested, you need to know that we need to see all of your warts. we need to see your financial data. We need to see history, and or lack thereof. And we really need to get a true view of your startup. And sometimes, I, as a former entrepreneur, I can relate to this. I mean, it's a very vulnerable feeling. You don't necessarily want to show the world all of your warts. And let's face it, what startup doesn't have warts at that stage of the game or flaws? They all do. And so I was so lucky in the beginning stages of this because I found entrepreneurs that thought it was a good idea. And even though they felt uncomfortable, they're still willing to engage and give it a shot. And so what we do is we ask for detailed financial information, their sales information, their strategy, their secret sauce, and then we ask the students to sign NDAs. And put the fear of God into the students a little bit about the power of these NDAs, and that's, we let's say we give them a healthy respect for the NDA, and the students really do take it seriously. And we just explain, look, you can't talk about this to anyone, and we describe what that means. That doesn't, that means roommates, that means significant other, no one, you can't talk about this at all. And so far that has not been an issue. And so what's happened is the students learn all about the startup, and then they work with the startup throughout the entire semester, and they compete in teams. And then at the end, they make an action plan to scale the venture over $10 million in sales. And then the startup team acts like the customer, and they actually rank the teams from most actionable to least actionable. So it's got a very real feeling because there is a customer involved, and that customer happens to have a significant impact on their grade on the live case.
Oh, that's cool. So have you seen that backfire at all? I mean, what's the worst outcome you've had? Just a dud of a project?
That's a good question. And I would say the worst. So I would say this: in 3 years of doing it, we have never had a team just wing it and go out there and not put out a good effort. That's not happened one time. And I think the reason for that is it's so real. They're presenting their ideas in front of experts. They know that the startup
amazing opportunity.
Yeah. So I've never had a team, not one time, mail it in. We did struggle in the spring when we made the transition to online. The entrepreneur noticed a a drop in quality from the fall to the online version. And I would own that one, because I just think that that was a learning curve, and trying to make that transition in the middle of the semester was not easy. So I would say that was the worst outcome, was just the transition from doing it all in person to all of a sudden having to do it online.
That's amazing. I know I saw a lot of work that's come out over the last 4 or 5 months, research-wise in different journals, around the impact of the pandemic on education as a whole, and specifically even around the impact of the pandemic on entrepreneurship education. Entrepreneurship Education and Pedagogy, USASB's official journal, actually put an editorial out calling for scholars to investigate kind of what happened and what's going to continue to happen as we move forward. And are we getting a more digitally literate population of faculty as a positive outcome of this whole process? Are we losing engagement with our students? Are we recognizing that some of the experiential elements of our courses don't translate as well as we would like them to, and having to sort of innovate how we do what we do? And so as people go through that work, if they're listening, to us talk today, I hope that they consider documenting it and writing it up, either as a case or a learning innovation, submitting it to the journal and sharing it with a wider audience. Because I think, you're open to it, I'm open to it. I think we're all a little bit thirsty for finding new and better ways to integrate, this virtual sort of technology into our classrooms. I think we're all eager to get back face to face as much as possible, but I don't think it's going away. And so I think, there's always going to be more virtual connectivity from today forward than we've had in the last, however long since it was viable.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think, there's a lot of research that's been done on behavioral change and how humans don't like it. And I think of like behavioral economics and some of the work by like Kahneman and Tversky. And, people don't like change. And in this case, there was a significant change pushed on everyone at one time. The good news, and you referenced it, is that this forced people to change. I think everything that's happening was going to happen. I just think it's been accelerated. And I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for us all as entrepreneurship educators to learn a lot more about connecting with people online and building a strong climate in the classroom, whether it be in class, which we're all used to doing, or virtually, which is new and to me a little frightening. But it's an opportunity. And one of the chapters of the Ideate method is about anticipation. And change brings opportunity. And this is a significant change. And there are plenty of things to complain about with COVID, but there's also a tremendous opportunity for us as entrepreneurship educators to change in a positive way.
Absolutely. Well, USASB has worked very hard to develop and put together resources for educators and for entrepreneurship education researchers. And the Annals is just one mechanism by which we're doing that. Volume 4 is coming out in January 2021. We're really excited about it. All USASB members will have immediate access to all of the content, and not just all of the content of Volume 4, but Volumes 1, 2, and 3 as well. And so really deepening the resources available to people. And, I hope people are viewing it as a call for engagement, to submit to the journal, to submit to the Annals, to engage in the USASB community. Dan, thank you so much for taking time to join us today and to talk and share a little bit about your work and your contribution to the book. Do you have any last closing remarks to offer up to the USASB Nation?
Well, first, I have a personal thank you to you, because you were very, very instrumental in getting me involved in USASB a few years back. And so I really thank you for that, because it's really meant a lot to my own professional development to go to these conferences and meet so many people that are just doing the same kind of things that I'm doing, and build my professional network around the world. And so USASB has just been such an enriching addition to my professional career. So I really love to go to the conference, and I'm honored to be part of this Master Educator Series for sure. And I just look forward to continuing to attend and to, for us to share with each other and learn from each other as colleagues and friends. And it's just been a great experience. I look forward to just more of the same. Thank you so much for having me.